Holly, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you are welcome. I bet you there's some people out there that are very excited to hear about the Gulf Islands.
Well, I hope so. It's become quite a popular place these days.
Okay, so which islands specifically are we talking about today?
So I service the Southern Gulf Islands, which is made up of Maine, Pender, Saturna, Galliano, and Salt Spring, in addition to Gabriola, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump from Nanaimo by ferry. There's a
Okay.
lot of smaller islands as well, and more if you go off the coast a bit more north. But I leave those to other people who have their expertise in that area.
Okay, all right. So for anybody not knowing where we are, we're talking about the Southern Gulf Islands off the southern area of Vancouver Island.
Yeah, exactly. So right in between mainland BC and Vancouver Island, along that ferry stretch, if you were to catch a ferry from Vancouver or Tawasin over to Victoria, you kind of dipsy doodle through a bunch of really beautiful islands. And those are the islands that we're talking about today.
Excellent, excellent. That is a beautiful area to live as a second home.
Oh, it's absolutely stunning. And there are a lot of people on the islands where that is exactly what it is. It is a second home for them. They use it as a nice escape from the city, or oftentimes half retirement time. And it provides a really nice opportunity for families to gather in really beautiful natural settings for holidays and family functions, things like that.
Okay, excellent. So what kinds of things are there to do over on the islands for people looking for that kind of escape?
Well, it depends on the island specifically, but in general terms, they are beautiful. There's a lot of protected land on the Gulf Islands.
Okay.
So yeah, the flora and fauna are protected and under island trust.
Okay.
For instance, there's a raptor sanctuary on Pender Island. So there's a lot of area there that is preserved specifically for the raptors to ensure that they're kept
Okay.
safe. Yeah, it's cool. But
That's very
yeah,
cool.
so specifically, all the islands have different types of local makers, bakers. So there's a lot of markets and things like that happen. There's excellent cycling. I know I've worked with a number of clients who are live on the Gulf Islands full time and then have Victoria as their second home, which is another interesting option.
Yeah,
Uh,
you could do it the other way. Okay.
yeah, so they travel a lot on the ferry system using their bikes, and they bike around throughout the islands quite a lot. There's a
Okay.
lot of small businesses that are popping up on all the different Gulf Islands, and that varies. There's cideries, there's soap making, there's carving, just all sorts of really
Interesting.
cool stuff. Uh, each island has kind of its own resort type of thing, and it's not like Mexico style resorts, but just really beautiful. I wouldn't say they're quaint, but they're somewhere between quaint and all-inclusive Mexico resorts.
Okay, I
Uh,
gotcha. I gotcha.
yeah,
But I guess somewhere that somebody can go away and feel like they're being pampered in a beautiful setting.
totally. Poets Cove on Pender, for example, Main Island Resort on Maine, just really, really nice places with restaurants and just kind of central location and stuff like that. A good place for
Okay.
people to land. And I'd say really there's an excellent boating community. There's a number of marinas on each of the islands. And a lot of them, they are all accessible by boat, obviously. And some people, that is how they travel from island to island and from the mainland to their second property is
Okay.
via boat. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, other than that, some of them, I shouldn't say most, but some of the islands have more than enough services to sustain people living there full time.
Okay, okay, so good internet services and all of that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, it's really starting to take off. Main Island, for instance, just recently got an air ambulance in
Oh,
place. So
okay,
there's really good medical facilities as well, or good
that's
enough
important.
medical facilities, let's put it
Yeah.
that way.
Hmm.
um, Fire departments, RCMP, uh, these sorts of things. So they're not stuck in the dark ages. These
Yeah,
islands are very accessible and provide the services needed to
yeah,
make a comfortable stay.
yeah. So somebody that wants to get away from it all, but still have access to modern amenities and healthcare and internet and all of that kind of stuff, they're good to go there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it varies in terms of service provision. So, for
Okay.
instance, Saturna is a little more off the grid than,
Okay.
say, Salt Spring. Salt Spring
Right.
is quite well developed. There's the density is quite a bit great, well, substantially greater.
Yeah.
So there's something for everyone in the Gulf Islands, really. Whether you really want to be off the beaten track or arguably off the grid,
Yeah.
it's available for you, and right up to very, very modern amenities, and like a high quality of life with,
Okay.
everything that you need: garages to get your car fixed, doctors to talk, dentists, all that sort of stuff.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, that sounds great. I think just listening to you talk, I need to do more exploring than I have in the past. So yeah, yeah. But what I really love about the Gulf Islands is just what you were saying, that there's so much local stuff. There's natural soaps being made that are handmade, and people doing their own baking and selling their baking at the market, and fresh vegetables, and people are farming, and just everything's so natural and fresh and clean and healthy, and everybody's helping support one another. I think it's a really neat feel.
It is. It's really kind of taken the idea of shop and support local and put it on steroids. It's
Okay.
very, yeah, if you can buy it on the island or from an island provider, you do, on the Gulf Islands. That's just the nature of how things go there. And it's good because when you keep the money in your community, it helps your community grow and thrive, and then other
Yeah.
businesses are enabled to grow and start up. So it's this is
Yeah.
how things start off: is you support those in your community so that it allows for new businesses to be successful early on, because that's really the challenging part for businesses, is in the early stages. uh,
Right.
but yeah, the Gulf Islands honestly are a really community focused spot, and people that live there, I think they want to keep it top secret. So
Yeah. 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 They want to keep it elite, right? So yeah.
yeah, because the more people that know, the more people that want, just, you can't not want to be there, I guess, is the thing. It's
Yeah.
it's absolutely beautiful, from just the kind of temperate rainforest situation that we have here, uh
Yes.
partnered with the just spectacular views of the ocean and the other islands off in the distance, and from some of the islands, the mountains and the mainland. It's really an amazing kind of coming together of all things that just make a home so awesome and so comfortable. And on the Gulf Islands, it's about so much more than just your house. It's about,
Right.
like, all your surroundings, the environment, and the community. And it's an experience, I think, living on
Yeah.
the Gulf Islands.
Okay. Well, I can tell you right now, I would buy a house from you on the Gulf Islands because you're so passionate about it. You can just tell that by the way you're speaking. So, yeah. So if one wanted to buy a home on the Gulf Islands, what are the price points like? How are things range from different kinds
That
of property?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. And one of the reasons why I love helping people on the Gulf Islands is because the price ranges vary. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to move to the Gulf Islands in almost every price point. I won't say every price point, but the Gulf Islands has houses, smaller cottage-like houses for in the 500 range, all the way up to beautiful waterfront homes, just the most spectacular views, and those ones are going into the millions.
Yeah.
So there's a huge range, and the different islands have a different price point as well. So typically Salt Spring is going to be the most expensive of the Gulf Islands that I've mentioned.
Okay.
And Saturna, because of the distance and the not quite as many amenities and stuff, so
Okay.
that is oftentimes seen by people as the more reasonably priced, maybe not reasonably,
Okay.
but more accessible pricing.
Right.
Um,
Right. Okay.
and then everything else just kind of fits in there. And the houses are very, very interesting. There's a wide spectrum. You've got things that are quite old and traditional style, or farmhouse style homes, and now you're seeing people building quite modern, really spectacular new developments that are very, like, you would imagine you could find the same type of home in the city. So
Right.
there really is something for everyone, and the majority of the price points,
Okay.
uh and right down to bare land. Like, you can buy, there's lots available,
Okay.
and that's something that I would strongly advise reaching out and having a good solid discussion before embarking on that, because it's a project. But yeah, it's available, waterfront lots for $500,000, sometimes less.
Wow. Wow. So somebody could get into a waterfront property for a reasonable price and have a very, very happy life.
In comparison to what you would pay for the same property in Victoria or somewhere in the Lower Mainland,
Mhm.
for waterfront,
Mhm.
it's substantially cheaper on the Gulf Islands.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of opportunity there for sure.
Totally.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's really, really exciting. Yeah, I am going to have to do a little bit more exploring. I've toured around the islands, being on Vancouver Island for coming on 40 years now. I've toured lots of the islands, but you've just made me excited about touring a little more. So yeah. So if somebody wanted to reach out to Holly and learn more about real estate on the Gulf Islands, how do we do that?
Honestly, I think anyone who's looking to investigate the Gulf Islands, I would strongly encourage them to call me. I always prefer to have a really solid conversation, so that I can find out exactly what they're looking for, and then I can make some solid recommendations on where it might be suitable for them to land, because each island is a little bit different, and would suit a different buyer. So that they can all, of course, they can email me if they'd prefer, but I do find a good chat on the phone is always a lot more expedient way to get the information.
Okay, we'll make sure we include your direct line so people can reach out to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for all the information today. It's been awesome chatting with you and learning more about the Gulf Islands.
Yes, no, thank you so much for having me. And if I could just end and say that they really are a real gem. The Gulf Islands are a place I've been going there since I was a kid, because my grandma and my aunt both lived on Pender Island. So
Oh,
yeah, so it's a place that I've been frequenting since I was just a young pup, and so it holds a special place for me. And I think that people, even if they don't want to go there as a place for a second home, I would encourage anyone to travel there, support the local economies on those islands, and just
okay.
see the actual beauty that we have, not only in the Gulf Islands, but just Vancouver Island and BC as a whole.
Yeah, yeah. We do get to live in paradise, that's for sure. Yeah,
100% we do, all day
yeah.
long.
Yeah, for sure. One more quick question that we didn't cover. So the ferries, how long are the ferry trips to some of the various islands?
That's a great question, actually. And as long as they run, the ferries are very, it's not that long, I guess, is what I should say. So the first order of business would be, depending on where you're coming from, but if you're coming from Vancouver, Vancouver to Victoria is an hour and 35 minutes.
Okay.
And I can't speak exactly to the length of time from Vancouver to the Gulf Islands, but it's about the same as what I'm about to state from Victoria to the Gulf Islands.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so Salt Spring is 45 minutes.
Okay.
It's a quick trip. Pender and Maine more around an hour and a half.
Okay.
Saturna can take up to like 2 hours, sometimes 2.5. There's a bit of a milk run that happens
Okay.
on that one.
Okay. Yeah.
And then Gabriola from Nanaimo is like 25 minutes, and the ferry goes every hour.
Easy.
So yeah, the rest of the Gulf Island ones, I think the majority of them on the off season go twice a day.
Okay.
And then in the summer, when it's a lot busier, uh, they add a sailing or two. So it's not impossible by any means to get to these places. And how long you have to travel to your second home would be a contributing factor to which of the islands you would choose to purchase your property on. So,
Okay.
because some of them
Yes.
are a bit more challenging than others. Yeah,
So travel time and convenience must be a factor.
totally. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. That is really good info. I think when we publish this, we'll include some ferry information for the peeps as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
As well as your contact info, so they can reach out to you and get their second home on the Gulf Islands.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. And yeah, hopefully I would love to hear from people. So I encourage them to reach out at their convenience.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Tolly.
Thank you.
Okay.